I made my wife. Said I die alone. I told her she's probably right. One thing that's for sure, I'm a stranger to this life. I say this full of strength and a shoulder full of strife. You don't know it like myself. I say self-made, meaning I design myself. Cali Jill,
we made it another week. Oh, God.
I like the life I built. West Side City. I'm like that.
Oh, God. Week 6. Can you believe it, huh?
Listen.
Time is like flying.
Yes, definitely. I think I'm excited. I mean, I think we've been doing it. We've been on here. I'm definitely excited to be here. I think we got a great topic tonight. I'm ready for it. Last week, we kept it chill. We had to check in, see what was going on with us, what was going on with the world. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been it's been some rough times, but yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I think we got it. I think it's gonna be good. I think the people gonna be intrigued on what is going on. So, hey everybody, we thank you guys for joining us today on Too Fast, Too Feminine. We will be here, and we are so glad that you are here with us today. And today, we're going to talk about some interesting topics. But before we get into that, I am Chevelle, and that is Miss T over there. We thank you guys for joining us. If you are new, thank you for watching. If you are returning, welcome back. So, sis, today's topic. I know we discussed what we're going to talk about, but I think, I think a lot of people can relate to how we're feeling about this, because we're going to talk about what's been going on in 2020, losses in 2020. And definitely we can say across the board, I think it's definitely been a lot of different losses. It's been things that have had us concerned. We've had heartbreak. We've had, maybe some good times. We've had some time to ourselves. But I think overall it's kind of just been a period. And I think the thing about it is, in life, when you're hurting and you're going through, sometimes you just feel like but in this situation, it seems to be an overall thing in 2020. And every time we think it can get a little bit better, girl, sometimes it get a little bit worse.
God no. So yeah, 2020, the year of losses.
Definitely.
Artudes, you're right. We have lost individually. We have lost culturally. The world has lost. And I hope to never see another time like this in life. Um, I know for myself personally, I have lost family. I have also lost financially. And moreover, I've lost faith in some of the different systems that should be here to protect us, but instead, unfortunately, they endanger us. So, and with all that being said, I think the pandemic, just being alone, going through these types of tragedies is when you need people around you to really, lift you up. And the conditions of COVID-19 really prevent us from rallying around each other and supporting and uplifting one another. So I'll say that for myself. It's been some tough times in 2020 for sure.
So for me, I would say the hardest thing in my individual life I've lost a lot of family members, and so that's really been hard. And I think everybody kind of been stuck in the house. Originally I'm from Ohio, and now I'm in Virginia, and so much is going on with my family. And because I'm still partially in the military, because I'm in the reserves, and my job still has to do with the government in itself. We have travel bans, so even though kind of the world has kind of opened up just a little bit, a little bit more, I haven't been able to really go home, and I've lost, different family members, and you kind of want to be there for what's going on. So I think that's kind of been hard, just seeing so much loss, and not being able to, be there with your family, and be there to comfort, and things like that. I've been blessed to say financially I haven't took a setback, but I definitely know people who have. And even though it seems as though we're doing good now, they put all these different things in place. And so who knows next year, when you feel like this year was okay, what those ramifications would be in next year, with all the different tax situations and, stimulus and all those things, how that is going to affect us. And that's my concern. Not only are we affected this year, but how does it affect us when we feel like maybe next year we could be kind of bouncing back and not be the case.
Well, I don't think it's a maybe. I think for sure we will not see the financial fallout of 2020's damage until 2021. That is when you will have the business analysts, the financial analysts, the strategists, the economists who are able to look at forecasts and actually then determine how detrimental of a situation we are going to be in. And I think even more sympathize with the fact that whether it be taxes, whether it be job cuts, we will feel that all the way from the
Definitely.
top to the bottom. So yes, I agree with that.
And so for me, I remember talking and having conversations with some of my family, and we just kind of were discussing it in our little groups. You know how we do. And we were
Hmm.
talking about the fact that people um, are moving and people are transitioning differently. So those who've had money are now maybe experiencing a loss.
Hmm.
Those who may have not have had money have come into things as though, when they were doing the unemployment and giving the extra money, making more money than they kind of made. So it has transitioned us in a way that people probably haven't really expected, too much of what's going on and how it affects it. But I think everybody kind of been affected from the top all the way to the bottom, and sometimes it could put you in a different tax bracket.
Hmm.
It's kind of just really shifting the world around and shifting everything on how it was and what we're used to and what's becoming what we call the new normal.
Hmm.
So I
I
think those
think
are things that we got to think about as well.
I think too, when we just look at, when we take our own individual losses and then we look at that the world over, like you said, I cannot imagine at this point, due to the financial constraints, how difficult this is when financial funding is not available for programs that many families rely on.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, even when we think about 2020 taking away the traditional ways of us handling life, going to a workplace, children going to school, and now that financial burden is at home. Your lights are going up, and maybe you budget for your lights to be this, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're this because everybody's home all day, every day.
Right.
I think about too food. Even when the pandemic first broke out, toilet paper was scarce. You could buy
Definitely.
toilet paper anywhere. So I think about the financial burdens that many families experience as well. I also look at this, coupled with not just the financial loss, but culturally. Look how much we've lost. We've lost,
Definitely.
in America, period, to COVID-19, a massive amount of individuals. When we look at, individuals we have lost to sickness,
Mm-hmm.
some of those being, Betty White died from cancer, Chadwick Boseman died from cancer, um, just to name a few who have died from sickness. Then you have the big massive one that everybody felt, Kobe Bryant died in
Mm-hmm.
a car accident, a time and unforeseen occurrence. It happens. We're many people over, are still grieving the loss of Kobe and his daughter. When you think about that too, when I think the most biggest loss we're feeling right now is the systemic racism that exists, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and how many individuals we keep hearing about losing their lives because of, interactions with our public servants. And these things just should never happen. I, had a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and I said to her, "How do you go to bed in your own home and end up dead? How do you try to be calm and break up a domestic dispute and end up paralyzed? How do
Right.
you go outside and you're taking a run to exercise your body and you're dead?" And many countless others that we have seen. I mean, even in my own personal situation, how do you call for, public service and you're the victim and now somehow you become the criminal? You know,
Right.
um, it is just so many of these events that it's hard not to be enraged. It's hard not to
Definitely.
feel the loss and not to grieve like it is your own personal grief. There was never a time that I thought being black would be hard to do and be. I heard a quote that said, we're American without the history. We're African without the history and American without the privilege. So
Definitely.
it sucks. I mean, it just sucks. It's just, what are your thoughts on that, sister?
Um, Definitely the losses that we've taken, in our culture and what these icons and different people mean to us has definitely been a hard one. I think also being Black, we didn't wake up Black, and I think in these moments, these things that's been happening have been happening, and that's what's so heartbreaking about it. It's just that the world kind of stopped, and in the world stopping, it gave us the opportunity to shine a light on what's happening. And I think with things going on, people have really gotten to a place where, we've done things before, we've come together, but I think the movement have not been as strong as it currently is. Um, in regards to us feeling like we need better. And the sad thing too is that you don't get to decide what skin you are born in, and the fact that people can feel a certain way and they feel threatened when they have the power and they have the opportunity to kill you and take your life, and it becomes justified as it being okay. I think it's very heartbreaking. With a lot of us, we kind of become so numb to it in a sense because it happens so often that you hear that somebody else dies. It just becomes a normal that I think we never want it to be normal. We never want it to be just what happens, and I think that's what's really hard when it comes to those things. I think this year it's definitely been a trying year. In every different avenue. And sometimes when you feel like you kind of get a little bit of hope and things don't seem like it could kind of get worse, it's like something else happens and it's like another blow. Um, that is definitely have been hard.
I think too, when we look at that about it being hard, I think, when I ponder the current state of life, I look and I say, when did it become us against them? You know, um, and when I say us, meaning black culture against the rest of the world. And it is horrible. I hear many people say all lives matter. I agree, but all lives can't matter if one subset of lives do not. And, I really try to stay away from, being bitter or being angry, but it's not just our black boys that we have to worry about anymore. It's our
Mhm.
black women. It's our black men. It's, the little black baby that's being given birth to. And granted, the world over, no, everybody is not like that. But it is a trying time right now not
Definitely.
to not have faith in the laws and public servants that currently exist, knowing that there are many of them that are the sources of the grief that we feel right now.
Definitely.
Now, with that being said, yes, there are amazing, officers and people who, really do stand for what the law should be. Absolutely. Not taking that away. Can't negate that fact even if I wanted to.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, it is hard not to acknowledge and accept that we're not running from mass murderers in the street. It's the individuals that we pay taxes for every year to continue
Hmm.
to be employed to protect us who are harming us. And that is the biggest loss, I think, like you said, that's really been revealed because when you're on the go, you're not really thinking about these things. You're not
Hmm.
really listening. And now that we're stuck to stand still, and even in our own personal circumstances, acknowledge that ugly truth.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's definitely something, and I think it's so many things right now that kind of really been different because everything's been affected. The health care system's been affected. The economy's been affected. School system's been affected. I think it has been no area that hasn't been affected. And even like thinking about schools and different things like that, what this new normal is, and kids going to school and what that looks like. You think about all the different age ranges and how it affects. different kids, because you get excited, you go to school, you want to graduate, all these things, and now you've kind of become more homeschooled.
Yeah.
And yes, the teachers, I definitely want to shout the teachers out, because it takes a lot of work. And they're definitely trying to do their part to make this transition into what we living in now become something. But I think a lot of times people don't think too, and I think a lot of people have become more appreciative of those people that stand up, the frontline workers, and also teachers, and recognizing, even with parents, because you think your child is good, or you sending your child to school, and now your child is with you at home. And just even recognizing what that means for parents, because now so many schools have been closed, and having the avenue to feel like your child can stay home and get this education, and what that means for your job, and how do you make this a reality that can actually work. I think those are things that we haven't thought about. One thing I will say, out of these things, like right now, it kind of molds you. It kind of shapes you and forms you into something better, because now we've kind of been through this. So when we come out on the other side, these are things that I think a lot of times people don't think about. They don't think about these things that you should be doing to make sure, what to do in cases like this, because we've never seen it, we've never experienced it, and learning as we go now, what does that look like later on if something else was to happen? Like, where do you go forward from that? I think those are things we got to think about too.
Well, I'll say this. First of all, about them teachers, shout out to you guys.
Shout out to y'all.
And second of all, thank you, COVID-19, for revealing to these parents that your kids really are bad. You sitting up here talking about, oh, my baby is that. She better not be yelling at my baby. I'm going to the school. I'm about to. No, no. Now you're at home 5 days a week trying to teach algebra to your children. And when they up here talking back, when they up here doing everything up under the sun, now you know what Miss Barbie feel like, what Mr. Paul feel like, because they've been dealing with that way before you did, and now you see that your baby bad. You need a belt, or you need a timeout, or you need to take that tablet, that phone, or whatever the case may be. So big ups to the teacher. I hope y'all on vacation right now while these parents actually doing their job and acknowledging how bad their kids is. Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, along those same lines, I think you're right when it comes to work-home life balance. I know for myself, I was pretty much at home already, except when I had to travel, for work. But I can imagine how difficult it is if you've got one child, or if you got 5 children, to now make up spaces for them to sit, to be able to set up technology such as a laptop, a second screen, maybe at this point, a tablet is what children are using, whatever the case. And now you have to also make an office space in your home. So now your home has turned into a little organization. And, and then on top of that, many parents look for the break for their kids to go to school. Oh, I'm putting them on the school bus. I get this little break. Well, your break's been snatched. And now you still got to work. So how do you balance, Mommy, I don't understand what this really means. And your boss is on the camera like, well, Terry, I need this and I need this. And you're like, hold on a minute. I mean, this has really disrupted every part of our life, like you said. Even when I think about travel and turn up. Now, I myself love to travel. And being out here by myself is very difficult. Everybody I love and know is somewhere else, just a plane ride away. But right now, because of COVID, I don't care that they're not putting us up under a travel restriction. I'm not getting on these planes with these people. Because for one, they don't want to wear these masks. For two, social distancing is not being, implemented as it should, no matter what the message is that they are conveying. And furthermore, they're not cleaning these planes properly. I'm not taking a chance of getting myself sick unnecessarily. But with that being said, I'm long overdue for an island. I'm long overdue for a vacation, and it would be nice to get cute again and be able to go out for drinks with the girls. It'd be nice to be able to fly to see you and everybody else, get a little two-step in, get that two-step, word, get that two-step, but we can't do any of that. So whether we're talking personal or whether we're talking professional, all of our lives have been so just put on pause. And it's difficult. Even look how we're interacting now. Who would have ever thought that we would be using social media, which was supposed to be for fun, now for business purposes? Zoom,
Right.
Zoom meetings for weddings,
Right.
Microsoft Teams to host conferences. All of these technologies now have turned into a necessity, instead of a want, or desire. So yes, I think you're right. Every aspect of our lives have been touched and put on pause.
Definitely. I think too people don't even think about those things because sometimes I think you get less involved in things that you feel like affect you. But I think in these moments it brings out things because you see a lot of kids, and I think about that. A lot of kids who have the opportunity to go to school and they get free lunch. And those are times in which now they can have a meal, they get breakfast and they get lunch. And I think
Hmm.
that's a big deal and that helps a lot of parents. And so I think it's
Hmm.
very important to think about those things now because these children are at home now and not having the same resources in which they were provided before. So these are all things that you have to think about and how that affects people. Kids who go
Hmm.
to school and they go to college or whatever have you, and now they're at home and that was their outlet to get out of whatever it was that they felt like they needed to get escape from, and now they kind of are home. That was the outlet that they had to not be in whatever maybe dangerous situation or whatever it is to be better. And so now it kind of changes things and how we
Hmm.
interact and what we think about, because I think this time has really allowed people to see things outside of themselves, because sometimes I think we get so caught up on what affects us, but I think this has made it to where everybody is affected. And so
Hmm.
now you consider things that you once didn't consider and how it
Hmm.
affects you and how it affects other people, because now everything becomes so intertwined
Hmm.
and what it means when these things happen.
Hmm. I think too, along those same lines, when you think about it, I think it has been trying times for relationships as well. Think about the individuals who may have been going to work, a husband or wife. We'll use them as an example.
Mhm.
Ricky leaves at 7 a.m. in the morning, says goodbye to his wife. His wife's out the door at 8 a.m. And then they see each other again in the evening to reconvene, talk about their day, their children, have dinner, and then go to bed and start all over, right? Well, now Ricky and his wife now work from home. And for the past 7 months, Ricky and his wife have spent every waking moment together. Now, some people are loving this COVID,
Definitely.
lockdown together. They love it. We look at celebrities like Big Sean and Janae Aiko. Oh, they all love that. We look at Tiffany Haddish and Common. Ooh, they all in love. But what about the people who don't really like each other and now you're
Right.
stuck? Or you start to really get to see the real truth in people, because sometimes you
Mhm.
see people in passing.
Right.
Even if you're living together, maybe you're not married, maybe you're living with somebody and y'all like each other because the schedule that you have for each other works. But now your schedule is, I wake up to you. Oh, I'm eating breakfast with you. I'm eating lunch with you. I'm eating dinner with you. I'm going to bed with you. And then tomorrow we're going to do it all over again.
Right.
So I think, in every aspect of our life, being at home this much, one makes us reflect on who we are, and either we grow
Mhm.
or we get worse. I think too, like you said, it brings birth to a new normal, because I think all of us will be better communicators outside of this, because now your social skills have to be done over technology. It's not in person to person contact at this point. So you have to work to make sure that you're conveying a tone, a message that would still be received, including your body language, in a manner that you normally used to doing in person to person contact.
Right.
You can't hug me now. So what's your way of telling me you really miss me? You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
and to somebody that you don't really know, you can't shake my hand at this point. What do you do? These are all things that I think, as you said, are going to make us bigger, better, and stronger on the other side. But I have a question,
Okay.
and this is to our audience as well. So we always say with this point that we know better, so we do better, right? Is that a true statement? Because you know better, like right now, we are learning some things, and at this point, or we know some things, will that really make us better on the other side of this? Knowing better means we do better.
Mm. What you guys think? I think for me, knowing better doesn't always mean that you do better. I think knowing better and choosing to do better has to be what you do, because you can know better and it's everything's a choice. So you have to choose to do better. You know better, so now I choose to do better because I know. So I think that for me, that's what I think. How about you?
That was my thoughts on that. Somebody said that to me yesterday, that you know better, you do better. And I said, no, not actually. I can adjust what I know to justify what I'm going to do. So just
Mm,
because I know does not mean that I will do if I decide that that knowledge is not going to produce the outcome that I want. So I can adjust that knowledge to
mm-hmm.
then justify my action. And so that knowing better means doing better, I agree with you, doesn't always prove true. What you guys think? What y'all think? Okay, we got no thoughts on this. Well, how do we feel about life in the mask? The mask.
Listen, I'm looking forward to fall in the mask, but summer in the mask, definitely not for me. It's not for a lot of us. It's just way too hot to have something on your face. And I think because there's so many different masks and you know what that means and which ones are comfortable and how breathable it is and those different things. But listen, honey,
Let me tell you
it's helping
something.
some of us. It's helping some of us because some people need the mask.
Well, let me
But
tell
I
you
think,
something.
oh, girl,
For myself, I want to applaud Dr. Fauci and everybody who decided that the mask becomes mandatory. Because I'm getting sick and tired of trying to figure out a way to tell you that that breath is hot. I
mm,
should not have to do that. Your nose is here and your mouth is here. And if I know that when you put that mask on, you can't take it, now you understand what I've been suffering through.
definitely.
Handle that. Thank you for the mask.
But I think some people, even with it on it, girl, they still think that ain't them. They think it's probably the mask. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they bamboozled. Maybe they going through something, but some people still act. I think it's been helping other people outside of them, but some people need a rude awakening to know what they've been breathing out into the air.
I think I have appreciation for, all jokes aside, you guys, outside of the mask. I think if you're going to do anything, you should be doing it, even if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your neighbor. The fact is that we don't know what the next individual is suffering from.
Right.
Nobody looking at me will know that I'm asthmatic. Nobody looking at the next individual will know that they have an upper respiratory infection, they have cancer, they have, the flu, whatever the case may be. You can't look at a person and really define that. And because some people are asymptomatic, I think it's important that we not be selfish and we think about not only ourselves, but we think about others. I also appreciate this season of COVID. While it's been very trying, it's been, very lonesome at times. It has given me a chance to really stop and reflect about some things that I want to do when I get out of COVID,
Mhm.
personally and professionally. And I think it's also the year of rest. Many of us were running so hard
Mhm.
that, we wouldn't have stopped if somebody didn't make us stop. So, I can appreciate the year of rest, but I'm going to tell you right here, right now, I never want to see another year like this again. Never.
Definitely. I think for me too, I always think about, we think about all the negative and all the things that because in a time like this where most of it is really negative, we don't
Hmm.
think about those things. But I think I try to look at the fact that in these types of moments, these are when people are creative. This is when
Hmm.
music is getting created. This is
Yeah.
when inventions are coming up because people are, in their own space now coming up with ways and different things to do something. So I think
Yes.
that kind of gets me excited because what's going to be birthed out of this.
Hmm.
In
Hmm.
these trying times, I think a lot of good things can come out of it. And even though we can't see it now, I think a lot of things we're going to find is going to be so many things that will be helpful. I think moments like this when people get to sit down and really think, I think you get the opportunity to know yourself because I think sometimes when you're moving and you're on the go, these things, like you said, give you time to reflect and also
Hmm.
figure out kind of who you are and those different things.
Hmm.
Get different, habits because some of us been quarantine and some have picked up weight, some have really worked on themselves and got their weight together, been eating healthier, and some people are overeating. I know, COVID has brought me different things. I've been on the losing weight side, I've been on the gaining weight side. You know, me and the refrigerator have been very intimate. But I think in those moments for creatives, like this is the moment. This is where you had that time to sit down. These are when you put those thoughts together. This is when that pain birthed something. So I'm looking to see what 2020 will birth. Not only what we lost, but what it also will birth. I think that's what's important to look at it. We still got a few months left in this year, and I hope that they start to progress and get better. Because I think we've been hit so hard. I would hate to see anything else. At this point, it's kind of like, you know, what next? But I'm ready to see what's coming next. What can we look forward to happening in 2021? And I think we were so happy for 2020 to get here. We didn't expect it to turn out this way, but I think, you know, at this rate, how 2020 went, I mean, we can only go up from here because when you kind of more so at the bottom, I mean, when you at your lowest low, I don't know, you know, it's only up from there, I guess.
Well, I think for myself, I have, really learned some things about myself,
Mhm.
especially being by myself. And it's not just, I mean, seriously being by myself. There's nobody for me to talk to. There's, besides me picking up a phone or on the computer and, talking to you and my other, friends and family via, technology means. So, it has really forced me to acknowledge some things about myself. It also helped me to, recognize some great things about myself. One of the things I thought about in terms of corporate, um, a lot of administrative jobs, I really hope that they're taking note of this because there is no reason that anybody who sits behind a desk needs to be in a physical location. COVID has proved that. How quickly companies who said that their workers could not work remotely got themselves together so that they could continue to flourish and operate amazes me, which lets me know that it's not a matter of can't do, it's won't do. And
Mhm.
so that's important to really look at, how much more progressive we can be as people by using these remote means and our advanced technologies to operate business, especially when it comes to terms of overhead costs, employee health. Um, Also thinking about just the overall, morale and really environment of a company. Do you want to stay in the past because the future is showing us that everything is going remote?
Mhm.
Everything is technology based in some way, form of or fashion. And so I think that it makes, scalability as well as sustainability something that individuals need to really assess. And I think COVID was a great opportunity for companies, if they're wise, to go back and say, okay, how do we adjust? How do we pivot in case something like this happens in the future? And so I
Mhm.
brought that example up to say for myself, the same thing. The one thing I will say, loss wise, is being at home. I've been doing a lot more shopping than I probably should. Um,
Definitely.
you know,
I think
um,
also.
yeah, everybody out here talking about WAP right now. I'm getting weekly Amazon packages all the time, and I'm tired of it. I'm like, okay, the WAP needs to stop because my pocketbook is hurting. So I think, with that being said, though, I've also had some little creative moments within myself. I've been doing some crafting.
Mhm.
I've been doing a lot more journaling and really improving my writing. And that doesn't only, benefit me personally, but that benefits me professionally in the line of work that I'm in as
Definitely.
well. So I think, and then also for school, I'm in school. A lot of a graduate program is writing. It is nothing but writing. And so I think all of these things have allowed me to really, too, like you said, just get the creative juices going within myself. And I think another thing that COVID is helping us to appreciate is what's really important to us. And, I said to you three things that I really recognize that are important to me more than ever: time, my peace, and my house being clean. Sorry, y'all. I can't do the dirty house thing. But, and this has given me a lot of time to recognize that. So I think that's important. How about you?
So for me, I kind of been more focused. It's giving me the opportunity to kind of be more home, like be home
Hmm.
more, and For a little bit of time, I kind of was relaxing. Now I'm hot and heavy. I'm in school learning sign language to become a American Sign Language interpreter. So that's kind of been interesting. Just kind of getting back in the groove of school. Um, Pushing myself to kind of push boundaries and different things. I've really been working on completing my bucket list, and that's what I was doing kind of going into the year. And so what I did was I decided that even though it was certain things that maybe I physically can't do, other things that maybe I could do that I could work on within, or different things to improve myself, or things that I've kind of wanted to do. I've still been doing it. So I've been making that to be more so of a priority. But yeah, I think I've been pushing myself to grow, and I think it's in those uncomfortable times, in those things that push you, they mold you to become better. So I kind of been working towards that, really seeing about different fears and different things. I told myself going into the year that I wasn't allowed fear to stop me from doing anything. And so I've really been pushing boundaries that I had and just doing even things like this. I never would say that I would ever be doing anything of this sort. So it's kind of been exciting, kind of just been pushing myself, getting my thoughts together, looking at different things that I want to do, creating goals, and also trying to complete them and just seeing what's kind of next for me. It's been
Yeah,
exciting.
I agree. I agree. I think this too was a big, platform for both of us, something outside of our box.
Definitely.
While I am not afraid to be in front of people, and although I am an introvert and extrovert, I prefer to be on the introvert side of things as I'm getting older. So to cast my vulnerabilities, my fears, give my little itty bitty opinions on a platform like this is definitely out of the box for me, but I like it. And it's one of the things that, is pushing me to explore other things that I may feel like, oh, I shouldn't do this, but maybe I really should. Because I
Right.
didn't realize how much I really liked this whole platform of being able to give just a nugget of wisdom, or, an opinion that could really, help somebody in a decision, or even just, enjoy the company of family. I never thought things like this would be enjoyable. And I never would have tried it. But now that I have, like I said, it's making me want to say, okay, grab life by the horn and do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think also one other thing before we conclude, guys, we just want to really say thank you.
Thank you.
As as Chevelle mentioned, this was something that came out of COVID. We have some crazy conversations, and
Definitely.
we know we have been talking about different things. But what we want to do is we want to be able to make sure that we engage with you guys. So more than ever, we look forward to you giving your feedback. We look forward to seeing what you guys think. We can only get bigger and better from here, but we need you guys to inform us. What are we doing good? What are we
Right.
doing bad? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see
Definitely.
less of? COVID has given us time to really think, and every week we are trying to make sure that we are in a position not only to entertain but also to inform. And that's,
Definitely.
really the purpose of this. Everybody always asks us, well, what is your, what is the purpose of your show? That's the purpose. We want to entertain and we want to inform. And so that may be on sensitive topics. It may be, on serious topics. It may be on, goofy topics. Like we soon will do topics to talk about the different makeup and stuff we like to use, and the fashion. And so it's just understanding that we need you guys. We would not be who we are today without your support. So sis, what do you want to add to that before we wrap up?
I just want to say, like my sister said, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here weekly. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you back.
And on that note, you guys, Nipsey is taking us out.
That is
Yes.
so tall, I think I might got still. Legendary daughter like Mike, like Will. 96 Impala, thug like Thug Will. Up against the wall, squabble like Fox Hill.
Hey, hey, hey.
Step on the street, touching them first meal. All my
Hey.
life, grinding all my
Grinding all
life.
my life.
Sacrifice,
Sacrifice.
hustle, pay the price. one slice.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Running all my life, all my life, running all my life. Sacrifice.